Hi, this is Katie Miranda here today with Maria Kellis. Maria is an entrepreneur, an author, and a teacher from Greece. She holds 3 MIT degrees and was involved in teaching entrepreneur classes at the Sloan School and organizing the 50K competition, where one of her companies was runner-up. Besides co-founding multiple technology companies in the US, she has worked in high-level positions for the Greek government. She now focuses on teaching through Maria Kellis International, a company operating globally with clients from over 15 countries. Maria loves to travel and currently shares her time between Thailand, Greece, Cyprus, and Bali, and the United States. Well, the last one is not as interesting as all the other ones.
Well, and I have to say, this is just my basis. Before COVID, I was traveling a lot more, but now I tend to travel maybe every 2-3 months, maybe every 6 months, but we're okay. Still, I love traveling. I love going around the world. And when we talk about designing the life that we love, this is it. It's like pick the things you love to do and do them.
Yeah, that's awesome. I'm going to go and continue reading from your bio because your bio is very interesting. And there's a couple things I'm going to read now that we're going to talk about later in the interview. So Maria has gone through some significant life ordeals. She suffered many accidents, including being diagnosed with multiple sclerosis and being in a wheelchair with apparently no hope of getting better. Pain and a near-death experience, the ups and downs of businesses and the politics of corporations, government, and academia. Wow. So Maria, the first thing I want to ask you about, and this is something that came up in our conversation earlier, is you were diagnosed with MS, multiple sclerosis, and you were in a wheelchair, and what happened?
This is the beginning of the journey of the new Maria, the Maria 2.0, if you want to call it. This is when I made a decision. The decision, I remember the date. I was in there, and the vendor came because the insurance had approved a motorized wheelchair for me at that time. And they came to my house to demonstrate. And I remember they came downstairs and, so I went and then they gave me this motorized wheelchair that I will I will like pretty much drive around the block to feel how it feels. And yes, it was a lot easier to go around. And I remember as I was sweating, really feeling uncomfortable in that path and just thinking, this is not my life. This cannot be my life. I'm in my 20s. I do not want to spend the rest of my life in a wheelchair, even if it's motorized, if it has the bells and whistles, this is not it. And that was the moment where I made the decision that I wasn't going to be in the wheelchair. I didn't know anything else. I didn't know how to get better. I didn't know anything. I just knew at that moment that this was not the life I wanted. And I feel that now, many years later, I know that making the decision is what starts the journey. So when we have an intention, a decision, when we really put our stake in the ground and say no or yes, and this is it, and this is my path, then that's when we start the journey.
So what happened? You're not using the motorized wheelchair, right?
No, I'm not even using a wheelchair. At the time, I had tremendous amounts of pain, what we call neuropathic pain. So neuropathic pain is pain that is everywhere in your body. It doesn't make sense. It's because your nerves are damaged. So the body translates this as pain. And I didn't have much else going for me. I was in pain. My fiance had left me at the time. I was running debt. Like I had qualified for food stamps because, I was on Social Security. I mean, everything was wrong. And I remember thinking, what do I have? And I had a lot of pain. So I said, okay, so pain is a signal. Well, it's better than no signal, right? So when you're paralyzed, most people don't assume that there's a lack of signal. For me, it was tremendous amount of pain. And I can go into the journey of pain, but maybe that's not what we want to talk about. I'll talk about the positive stuff. And I said, I have an abundance of pain. So let me make a new map. one of my doctors had told me at the time, I don't know if it was true or no, but I took it to be true, that we only really use ever 7% of our mind. I don't know if that's true. I have forgotten to verify that fact, but I assumed it was true. So I said, you know what? Okay, part of my brain is damaged. A lot of my nerves are damaged. A lot of the connections are lost. And I have the opportunity to start a new map. And I literally said, what pain means what? So little by little, I figured out, oh, this pain means hot. This pain means cold. Because even hot and cold, there's sensation, right? And to lose and to also gain. And then
were these sensations, the hot and cold, was that related to your MS symptoms?
So if you think of anything in your body, so hot and cold, for example, are sensations in the body, and they are regulated by your nervous system. And so, like, literally, if you don't have nerves, if you have a problem with nerves, if you have a problem with the sensation, you literally do not feel anything. Hot and cold just happen to be the easiest to regain. But if you think of yourself as you're outside, feel the cold breeze walk, in your skin, what does that mean? That means that your skin has receptors, in particular, nervous receptors that translate that the thing that went through you, that went into a cold breeze. So you were able to determine that there's some motion and there is some temperature. Right. If you have if you don't feel, you don't have that. and so when you move, so when I moved my body, like, I didn't feel it. So I didn't know when I was moving. So, like, little by little, like, I would move, and I always credit my friend, one of my friends from college. She brought her baby daughter with her. Her daughter was less than 1 year old, and she came to the hospital, in the recovery hospital. That was really a hard time for me, and at the time, her daughter was learning how to walk, and I was learning how to walk. And I remember I was like, I will get up and try and maybe do a one step and fall down. Well, she will do the same. So she will get up, walk, fall down. I was like, oh, that's great. And so I started comparing myself no longer to the adults. I started where I was at. I no longer wanted to compare myself to the adults because that was very depressing. So I decided to compare myself to her, to the little baby. And I said, well, how many times did she fall today, the baby, or how many times did I fall today, right? And so we kind of learned to walk together, which was, at the time, because of that help, it helped me to see the world in a new perspective. And I have to say, not everything is easy. Not everything is easy. And that's why the reason I'm saying this is because often we are attached to the things that we lost or that we think we should have. And what if they're not important? What if they don't matter? What if the things that we have are all we have? That's nothing else. So when you think of yourself as having anything, well, first be grateful. And also, when you don't have something, you can gain, but nobody can expect you to know more than what you know at the time. So just start where you're at. Start at that level. Start at that level. And the reason I say this, and I hope it's an encouraging message for the people listening to this, is that no matter what, you have a choice. You are the creator of your death. You're the creator of your life. And when you create life, you truly can choose the life you want and go ahead and have it. Don't wait for others to give you permission. Don't wait for others to tell you that you can. You can choose, make the decision, make the choice, and life is yours. So go from there.
So you were in the hospital. Was it because of an MS flare-up and you had to kind of learn how to...
For me, it wasn't a flare-up. I don't know. I mean, we can talk a lot about MS if you want, but when the disease presented itself, it was very catastrophic. Like, it was one of those very aggressive forms of multiple sclerosis. So if you look at the MS Society, the symptoms, I had everything except one. I could go, I'm sorry if that's a little bit too much information, but I could poop on my own. And I'm so grateful that I could do that. But everything else, okay. And so I can see, I can taste, I can swallow, I can eat, I can move. I definitely was paralyzed from T4 down. Like I had lost a lot of sensation. I mean, everything was a mess. Like it's as if I had gone through a really bad accident. So it was very dramatic for me, very, very dramatic. And because of all that nerve damage, I had tremendous, tremendous amounts of pain.
And then how did you heal yourself?
So it started, it was months later. So first I was in the hospital, and then they sent me to a recovery hospital for months. And then little by little, I started realizing that it's not going to get any better. After a few months of that, like you can imagine that it came on very suddenly. So an MS attack is a little bit like an accident. So one Sunday I was feeling a little bit weird. The first thing I loved was the sensation of hot and cold. And by Wednesday I can walk. And by Thursday I start having pain. So it was, I didn't have to prepare. I had no idea what was happening. I remember the first doctor I went to, he was a general practitioner, and he would ask me if I'm crazy or if I needed attention or love, like, because he assumed it was totally psychological. He couldn't understand what was happening so fast. And finally, because I started having motor issue, by Monday, I started having issues walking.
Maria, can you hear me?
Yes, I'm back on. Give me a second. I'll pick up where I was talking, and we can edit that break. So sorry, I don't know why the connection is bad. I checked my internet and everything. You asked me if I was prepared or if I knew what was happening and if I understood. And the main thing is, like with any accident, in this case it was a disease. With any accident, nobody's prepared. We are just not prepared. There's no way to predict what is happening. I remember the general practitioner I went to, I went because I was not feeling right. And he thought I was crazy. He literally asked me if I needed attention, and if I was getting enough attention, and maybe I needed to go there to get more attention. I was like, I don't know with him, right? But it was disbelief on his side, right? And I can sympathize with a lot of people who face serious health issues that are very difficult to diagnose, and the doctors treat them as if they're crazy or if they're making it up. And that is often the case. So if you are a person like that, I would say don't get attached to the diagnosis, but also focus on getting better. Because even if they diagnose you, the doctors, they don't always know what to do. They really don't.
Yeah.
And getting a diagnosis that involves, like, a debilitating condition for the rest of your life, well, that's just one possibility. I know a lot of people with cancer, for example, they get really severe diagnosis and they choose to leave. So they do. They choose to stay alive. So their decision to stay alive allows them to be alive. I really want to encourage, I always say this to people, like, you choose your life. You're not a victim of your life. You're not a victim of circumstances. No matter what happens, look at it as an event, look at it as something you can choose, and truly decide what your life is going to be going forward. That is your choice. This is our biggest power. Our strength as humans is that we can decide, and our decision determines our destiny. So that's why.
And so did you decide that you were going to walk again?
Yeah, that was the decision that I made. I remember I was telling you the story when I was in the wheelchair, in the motorized wheelchair, that I didn't want this to be my life in my 20s. Yeah. I didn't want to spend the rest of my life as a handicapped person going around and I just didn't want that experience in my life. And I have to say, at the time, I did not know. I did not know how it was going to happen, right? The doctors were not giving me much hope. It had been months at that point. I wasn't getting better. So they were saying, well, usually the remitting relapsing forms of MS, you haven't, like you should have gotten better by now. So you're probably having what we call a progressive form of MS, and that's bad. Yeah, everything looked bleak for me at that time, everything.
So you've had a lot of really interesting accomplishments in your life, aside from being able to walk again after this diagnosis. Can we talk about that? Like what
Absolutely.
what is the path that you took to get to where you are today as an international business coach?
Mm-hmm. So my strongest value has always been freedom. And as a woman, it was, I come from Greece originally. And in my country, women are not necessarily equal to men. And that gap is something that I was very upset when I was growing up. I literally was thinking, why was I not born a man? My life would have been so much simpler. Now I'm okay with being a woman, so I'm totally okay with it. But at the time, it was very difficult to see that the doors were closing simply because of my gender. And this is something that I always encourage young women, that the world is their choice. Everything is your choice. But to me, I didn't want to be someone's trophy wife. I didn't want to be maintained by somebody. I wanted to have my own life, my own destiny, my own freedom. And this was truly important to me from when I was a young kid, because I felt that I deserved it. I felt that it was okay. And even though my life in the beginning didn't look that way, I chose to really bring freedom in my life. So I had a lot of very interesting accomplishments, as you call them. But if you look at what was driving me, it was always, the driver was to be an independent, strong woman. That has always been my driver.
So what other painful experiences did you have to overcome to become the person that you are today?
I have a collection of very painful experiences. Which one do you want? So it's easy. People often say, wow, you are so amazing and you're so strong. And how did you do it? And I have to say, I did not start by being strong. I got strong because of all the adversity I had to face. So I grew up in a difficult situation. I had childhood abuse. I was abused in my life in every possible way, physically, mentally, emotionally, and sexually. So it was just bad. And I grew up feeling like a victim. I grew up feeling that it happened to me. And if I have one great achievement in my life, is that now I understand being the creator of my life. And I always talk about these 4 levels of responsibility. Level 1, things happen to me, so I'm the victim. And there's very interesting work called Radical Forgiveness by Colin Tipping, where he described these first 3 steps, which is things happen to me. And then you can switch your awareness to things happen for me. And things happen for me. It's like, yeah, still things happen outside of my control, but at least I'm lucky. The 3rd level is when you say things happen. So you're kind of like at the awareness. This is the whole mindfulness field. This is the whole like being the observer. This is just accepting facts as not having a meaning. And the last step, where I spend most of my time now, and where I encourage people to look into, is things happen through me. So I am the creator of my destiny. And going from the victim to being the creator is a really long path, because we don't jump from level 1 to level 4. We go from level 1 to level 2, and from level 2 to level 3, and 3 to 4. So when I was at the things happened to me, I'm the victim, I was very upset, very victimy. And then the step I could take was to like rationalize every experience as something lucky. What is the benefit of this experience, no matter how painful, no matter how horrible? And then when it happened, eventually I started observing and I started looking at the experience and saying, this happened again. This is very similar to something that happened, and this happened again, and this happened again. So this awareness, this ability to look at events, not as meaningful, but as a repeat, as a pattern, allowed me to take the distance, the perspective. And the last awareness I had was the idea that I'm creating the destiny. And in the beginning, it was just like, I make the choice. Like, I make the choice to get out of the wheelchair. And I made many choices that I could point to the choice and the result. And then eventually, I was able to go back through my life and look at everything from the perspective of the creator. So, for example, I have something very serious, like a very serious disease, or I had many accidents after that, right? I created those. Why did I create those in my life? What experience was I having? What was the benefit? And assuming that this is a world, this is a good world, a good universe. And I can go into more of that, but let's assume for now, like, and I have lots of arguments and lots of explanations why this is a valid point, but let's assume that this is a good world. If this is a good world, then things happen for us. And if things happen for us, if we create something, we do it from love. And so what is love trying to help us understand, uncover, teach? And so this is what we learn through this journey. And so when we were the creator, is like, why would I create, for example, I had a near-death experience. I fell in a construction shaft. I stopped breathing. I died. I went on the other side. I had this incredible experience on the other side. Why did I source this? Why? This is the question. Why did I manifest this? Why did this happen through me? Why did I create this experience? So no matter what happens in your life, you can look at it, oh, why did that person do this to me? Or why did this happen to me? Or why did I create this? I created this. I'm responsible for my life. I'm fully 100% responsible. What was the benefit? What a lesson am I learning, or karma piece am I overcoming?
What happens on the other side? I've got to know.
Well, I had what they call a bodhisattva experience. So I went back hundreds of lives, thousands of years, and it didn't fit with my religious understanding. It didn't fit with my upbringing. So I was very confused in the beginning. I'm like, how can we have multiple lives? I didn't understand, because in my upbringing, we have one soul and then we die, and that's it, right? And but then I kind of understood this idea that nothing is left. So we have this idea of like the sins of the father are inherited by the son. Well, what does that mean? That means that the duality. So from the other side, the one understanding I got is that the duality is love and not love. That's it. You can simplify everything in life into this two simple: love, not love. So something that is not done with love, a crime, we consider a crime. I mean, what's the difference between a crime and defending yourself? Or, like, all these are very, very debatable subjects. So if you go to the beginning of love and not love, if you do something with love, then you're okay. If you do something with hate or anger or some negative emotion, then not okay. So anything that happens with not love is heavy. And I think of us as one, as this whole world, this whole experience, this whole humanity as one connected whole. And when we look at this as part of the oneness, all of us together create the crimes of humanity from the past, and our job is to bring love where there's no love. So we get to love everyone, the murderer, the rapist, the thief, the abuser, the dictator, the warrior, anybody, the liar. We are part of humanity. They are part of us. So we are them. So if one person is killing people, I am also a murderer, because I am part of humanity. And this is very important, because very often we think we're morally superior. So, I didn't kill anybody, so I'm good. That's bad. That's not true. We're all in this together. So we love everything. And we love aspects of us. We love aspects of others. There's nothing strange for humanity, nothing strange for humans. Any horrible thing you can imagine is probably done somewhere. And it sounds horrible, but can you love that part? Can you love that darkness to the point where it's okay, to the point where you understand and it's okay? If you get to that stage, then you're able to truly live, truly understand, truly experience life. Because life is meant to be a part of love. In my opinion, I truly believe in love.
Wow. Were you able to apply that even to the people who abused you as a kid?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Wow.
If you think about it, what makes me superior or inferior to anyone else? Nothing. I am human. I'm just as good and just as bad as everyone else. There's no, we tend to think of ourselves as the ego part. So we are unique and different and we're not part of humanity. Well, guess what? We are one. We're all one. So we travel this journey together. And anything horrible that we think happened to us by somebody, well, that's just the victim persona. Maybe it happened for us. Maybe it was a gift. Can you imagine the soul that came to abuse me? How much pain and suffering they had to go through so they forget the love, so they're able to be abusive? That's sad. They had a very sad life. And so instead of judging them, I can just love them and realize that they come from a place of not love and add love to them. Wow. Forgiveness is not a human concept. Forgiveness is divine. We as humans, the best we can ever do is achieve a level of like intellectually understanding that it was good for us. That's it. But our soul can love them. And our soul, it's kind of funny because forgiveness is not true. We don't forgive. There's nothing to forgive. When you love, when you truly unconditionally love, you realize there was nothing wrong. There's nothing to forgive. It was always perfect, always. So it's just a matter of like accepting the love and finding the love. And I know sometimes it's more challenging than others. I get it. I'm human too.
What is manifestation? How does it work? And what is your method of manifestation?
So I will go through my method and I'm going to start with truth. So everything that we do is an aspect of truth. It's an aspect of the divine, is an aspect of truth. And that's very, very important. So if we understand that love is true, so we are pretty much looking at the illusion of life, and everything that is not love is an illusion, and what is truth is love, and that's all there is truly to look at. So when you think of manifestation, is can you bring your truth, your real truth, your love truth into this world? And the answer is absolutely yes. I spend a lot of time devising a method for miracles, because in the beginning, what was happening to me looked very miraculous, except I had many accidents, many diseases, many horrible things. And I came out with what people thought was a medical miracle. And so I looked at it and I said, well, I know I'm no particular special person. So what am I doing? How am I thinking? And remember, at the basis, I'm a scientist, I'm an engineer, my MIT mind at work. I looked at it and I said, okay, let's put it step by step and find a method and process, right? Because that's how I understand the world. And so I devised a method that I call the extraordinary manifesting process. And that process is, how do you generate like literally anything you want into your life? So, and I'm going to have one more digression, and we don't have enough time for me to explain everything, but I'm going to do my best in the time we have. But I'm going to ask you to assume two things, and I can go through Einstein. I can explain to you all the theoretical physics that is behind this idea, but time is not a constant. And if you look at Einstein, of course, that's where you see it in the physics. And we actually have proof of that. A few years ago, LIGO, which is Laser Interferometer Observatory, was able to listen um, to black holes colliding or to neutrino stars. I don't remember what was the first thing, but since then they had many events in the horizon that they registered. And what they realized is that there is what we call this fabric of space-time continuum. And so that means that we now have proof. This is no longer a theoretical idea that somebody came up with when they're sleeping. We have proof scientifically that right now we know that there is a gravitational field that connects us all. So time is not constant. And if you want to think of time, think of it as a linear, it's like a line. We call it the wheel of time, right? And in fact, it's not even linear. It's not even circular. It's really like arrow. It goes around and then we go up one level, and then goes around and then we go up a little bit. So that's why our life seems to be running in circles. Sometimes we face the same thing we faced a few years ago, a few months ago, a few days ago. And the faster you can go through the circles, the higher you can go. And so this space unfolding, this space-time continuum that's unfolding around us creates this veil of illusion that makes us feel that we are behind a glass door. And I'm Greek, so I look at the Greek philosophers. So there's Plato and Socrates, and there's a great book where they describe the theory of the cave. So where Plato's explaining that everything we see, this reality, does not really exist, but it's just a projection of reality through a flame, he calls it, but really an illusion. So we get to look into the truth and see the truth. So assuming that we know what that is, that's great. And assuming that we don't, we can just assume that we don't know, and that's okay. But if we want to open and see the truth, we maybe can be enlightened, but for the average person like me and you, maybe we just need to do a few steps. So in order to open a gateway or a window or a door into the other dimension, into the side where every possibility exists, we first have to start with a decision. So it's a 4-step process. Remember, I like my processes and systems. And
you're an engineer.
Yes, it's obvious. And for my clients, when I work with people, like people say that they look at me as if I'm holding a door open so they can easily go through. But I just have a lot of practice, and that makes it easier for me so I can accelerate the process. But everybody can do this. So it's not a matter of if you can do it, it's a matter of when, how fast. So first, you choose that space that you're going to open. You choose what you're going to look. You choose the alternate. So if, for example, we talked about this. In my case, there's a Maria that is not in a wheelchair, right? The second thing is to clear. So let go. So think of it as you're opening the way. You have to remove whatever is in the way so you can go through. And then I always say, surround yourself with a bubble of love, like a little spacecraft where you can cross over, and then surround yourself with a bubble of love to come back. So when you go out to get it, to connect to that reality, you surround yourself with the energy of gratitude. And that's because it's a very light energy, very easy to make, and you can literally fake it until you make it. So you can be creating gratitude lists. That's very easy. I always recommend to people that they create gratitude in the morning. I literally found that gratitude is a natural painkiller. For me, 150 is the magic number. After 150 instances of gratitude, I literally will sit in the hospital and count them. The pain disappeared. And for me, that was truly important because I was in a lot of pain. Wow. And I can, so 150 was the magic number for me. Can you do 150? Can you sit and say, I am grateful for the sun. I'm grateful for this room. I'm grateful for my hair. I'm grateful for my hand. I'm grateful for my nose. I mean, keep going and going. I'm grateful for my mother. I'm grateful for my brother. I'm grateful for the sun. I mean, it doesn't matter. Just whatever you feel grateful for. But remember, even if you don't feel it in the beginning, it's okay. Just keep saying it until one day you will see it. You will feel the difference in your heart. There's no other way to explain it except that you will feel it. But so you surround yourself with gratitude. You go and go to that place, and then you come back with trust. And trust means that you're coming back and knowing that you're being in everything. Remember the 4 steps. Step 1, intention. Step 2, clearing. Step 3, gratitude. Step 4, love. They sound very simple. They are very simple. And that's all you have to do, those 4 steps. And if you repeat them daily, if you repeat them with, hold the intention strong and literally try it. Have a strong intention, number 1. And then do the right, let go of what you're angry about, let go of what hurt you, let go of what you can't forgive. And then feel grateful for everything you have and trust that it's coming. Well, it will come. And ask yourself, how long is it going to take? For me, usually it took less than 24 hours. Sometimes I remember, I as I said, I live in Bali part of the year. And I remember there was a friend of mine and we were going to go camping or to Uluwatu. Uluwatu is in the south of Bali. And then I needed a backpack and I said, okay, game on. We were in a cafe and I said, how long do you think it's going to take me to manifest a backpack? Because I don't have one and I need one, right? And I literally walked home. So I left the cafe. I walked home. In front of my door, somebody had left a backpack because they had to return some stuff to me and they had an extra backpack. Instead of giving me a bag, they gave me a backpack. And they were like, oh, you can keep it. And so I texted him. I was like, 20 minutes.
Wow.
So this is always the case. If you believe that it's happening, it's always there. And I know it's really hard because you're like, well, I don't believe. Well, your doubt is actually what's not going to happen. Henry Ford said it very wisely. He said, if you believe you can do it, you're right. And if you believe you cannot do it, you're right. So what do you believe? Do you believe you can or do you believe you cannot? I recommend that you believe you can. And then see what the magic unfold.
That's amazing. Maria, do you have a free gift for the listeners?
Absolutely. So these days I've been doing a lot of work on businesses. I come from the world of business, very scientific. And also I was a business person for many years. And I find that we are in the process of creating a new paradigm for business, a business that comes from the heart. And so a lot of the work that I do is centered on businesses. So I have created a free package, just really to give you an introduction to my work and really to help you. A lot of people just get this from me, and that's all they ever will get. But a lot of people will thank me years later, or weeks later, or whatever time they feel like being grateful, because they say it really works. And there are tools for business success. So you can find it at mariakellis.com/extraordinary, because we are extraordinary. So you are extraordinary. So you deserve to be extraordinary. So Maria Kellis, so Maria Kellis, KELLIS.com/extraordinary. And you can find it there. And I hope it helps you. And if you ever want to make me happy, just send me a note and tell me in what ways it has helped you. I'm always very welcoming to knowing this, because that's why I do what I do. I want to make the world a better place. I want to help humanity. So whoever gets to tell me that I did makes my day, because that's the best gift you can ever give to me.
Awesome. That is so amazing. And the link to take advantage of this free gift that Maria has generously put together for us, it's below the video. Just click on it. And thank you so much, Maria.
It was my pleasure. Thank you for having me, Katie. And thank you for the effort you do. Thank you for the work that you do. And I know sometimes we don't know what's happening. So it's just a matter of time until it reaches the right people. So I set the intention that your work reaches the hearts and minds and souls of all the people that need to be reached. And good luck on your journey as well.
And I hope the people who need to hear your interview, I hope it reaches them, because this is some amazing information, and I know it has the power to change some people. So thank you again.
Thank you so much for having me.